Welcome to another episode of The Brand Called You, a podcast and podcast show that brings you leadership lessons, knowledge, experience, and wisdom from thousands of successful individuals from around the world. I'm your host, Ashutosh Garg, and today I'm delighted to welcome a very senior and respected professional and an author from Chicago, USA, Mr. Joe Incrocci. Joe, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here, Ash.
Thank you. Joe is the Chief Executive Officer and President of IBC Consulting. He's an author of a book titled 17 Powerful Rules That Will Save, Sustain, and Scale Your Business. And we're going to be speaking about Joe's book today. Joe, before we come to your book, a few questions for you. You've had a long and diverse career as a turnaround specialist. Please share a defining moment when you realized helping companies out of chaos was your true calling.
Well, Ash, let me give you a little preamble to that. What spurred me on to it to begin with was I had retired from my second company that I started when I was 65.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought I would have a nice long retirement. My wife is a school teacher and she retired. So when the two of us were together, and she handed me a to-do list. Well, I looked at it and said, this is not for me. So I gave it back to her and I said, I'm going to start my third company.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided that I would get out of the house and not have to worry about the do list, and I would do consulting.
Mm-hmm.
The reason I chose consulting, Ash, is because I have a broad and deep career and I have a lot of knowledge, I have a lot of experience. And everything that's happening in a corporate world, I've been a part of. I have experience. Yep. I started my own companies. I also worked for a Fortune 500. So I figured no matter what the situation, I could help people. And that's what I want to do. I want to help people.
Fascinating. Looking back, what was the toughest business turnaround you worked on? And what made it so unique?
They're all been relatively tough, and the reason is that the help or the strategy to correct the problem is usually so simple and so obvious to me and someone like me that when I explain it to the team, they just can't wrap around it. They can't believe it. So the hardest part of the job is convincing them that this is the solution. And it's usually the non-traditional way. It flies in the face of accepted norms. And it's so very, very simple. So the hardest part is the time it takes to get everyone to buy into it.
Very interesting. Who have been your biggest influences or mentors? I mean, you've built 3 businesses in shaping your own philosophy and leadership style.
I would say my biggest influence has been the author Ellie Goldratt. He first authored the book The Goal, and the second book was The Theory of Constraint. Those 2 books have been my biggest influence of building my own strategy. So,
well said. Joe, let's now come to your book, 17 Powerful Rules That Will Save, Sustain, and Scale Your Business. My first question is, what was the hypothesis when you decided to write your book?
This is my third book, Ash, and I wanted to put in my legacy what I consider to be my 3 stools I built my business on. Mm-hmm. One is leadership and culture.
Yeah.
The second is mergers and acquisitions. I do a lot of M&A. And then my third is the turnaround of mainly factory operations. So my 3 books, each book is from my stool, one leg of my stool, and the last leg was 17 Rules, which talks about how to improve your factory. So the 3 together are hopefully will live on well beyond me.
Very well said. You call your book a survival kit for modern business. Why do you think so? So many companies today are operating in a survival mode.
Because they follow tradition and they don't challenge and question it. And when things go wrong, they do more of the wrong thing, thinking that doing the wrong thing more often is going to make it right. So the solutions are, again, they're very, very simple, but they're against the traditional way of thinking. So many companies are traditional thinkers, and that's That's just it. This is why I have so much trouble helping companies. They can't break their traditional thinking.
And you emphasize execution over strategy.
Yes,
Why do you
sir.
believe execution is the ultimate difference?
Well, Ash, in my career, I've seen great strategy fail because of lousy execution.
Yeah.
And I've seen lousy strategy succeed because of great execution. So execution overcomes everything. And the great strategy without execution is nothing but great strategy. Nothing happens without the great execution.
Yeah.
So make it happen. Don't let it happen.
Fascinating. Make it happen, not let it happen. Wonderful. Joe, when I was reading about you and I was going through parts of your book, you got these 17 rules. I can't ask you questions on all 17, but I picked a few.
All
And I'm going
right.
to ask you a few questions about some of the rules in your book.
All
Rule
right.
number one focuses on throughput as the key metric.
Yes, sir.
Why is measuring throughput more powerful than measuring efficiency?
Well, efficiency is a very local measurement. It's usually a measure of some particular effort or some particular task. That task is an isolated task. It's one part of the entire objective of business, which is throughput, because we can't build something until we ship it to the customer. So throughput is what allows us to build the product and ship it to the customer, invoice the customer. Efficiency is usually centered on one task, say operating a machine very efficiently. So if I'm a machine operator and it takes me an hour or two to set up a machine, I might be tempted to run that machine more parts than I need, because by running it more, I'm quote unquote efficient, and I amortize my setup, but I waste my capacity building inventory when I could be working on throughput. So efficiency is a evil. It focuses on one element of throughput, not the entire throughput. So it's a big mistake, and it's a false profit. All I've done is put my efficiency into inventory.
Well said.
I haven't monetized it.
Well said. And how would you measure throughput?
Throughput is the number of products I can make that I can bill my customer. So if I can make 10 a day, my throughput is 10. If I can make 15 a day, it's 15, and so on. Throughput is the sum of all of my operations. So if I've got a factory that goes through 15 separate operations and makes one product, the sum of those 15 is my total throughput. And that's the ultimate measure, because that's how I bill the customer. So if I can make 15 units, I can bill him 15 times. If I can make 100, I can bill him 100 times. So obviously, the more throughput I can do, the more I can bill him, assuming market demand is there.
Great response. Joe, rule number 4 says never forecast demand, respond to actual demand.
Yes, sir.
Can you share a case study where this mindset actually saved a business?
Well, in my book, my co-author, Michael Lauria, speaks of one case study where that was exactly the case. Again, what happens, Ash, is when you forecast demand, you're taking your capacity and you're not building to a customer order. You're building to some projection, and that's just inventory. So inventory, by definition, is something that we can't ship today. We put it into a warehouse of some sort. Yet we have orders in-house that I could make now and ship now. So the definition of inventory is to make something I don't need today, so I can't make something I do need today. That's kind of insane. It makes no sense, right? So any activity that builds inventory, I'm thoroughly against.
Very interesting. Let's now talk about rule number 7, where you emphasize taking corrective action immediately. Why do companies often hesitate to act even when they see the problem?
I think the assumption is incorrect. They don't see the problem.
Okay.
They don't. They know there's a problem. Their system is what they see is the sickness, like a doctor putting a thermostat in your mouth. They see their backlog. They see late deliveries. They see unhappy customers. They see lead times that are so long they're not market competitive. These are all symptoms. The corrective action is to most people overwhelming. They don't see the simplicity of it. So they don't take the corrective action because they're not exactly sure what to do. And when they do find out what to do, rather than challenge it, do it.
Very interesting. Moving on, rule number 8 says execution is everything. And people have often said, execute, execute, execute. That's the key to success. What habits separate businesses that execute well from those that fail? And give me an example if you can.
Well, I can talk of my clients that execute and those that don't, and they're in my book and they're case studies, and I can't name them. I can call them company.
Absolutely. I don't want any names. I don't have.
The first question you asked me was, why don't people execute?
Correct.
And I think it's because they don't believe it.
Mm-hmm.
They're skeptical and they want to see proof of it and so on. Yet they have the problem day after day. Their orders continue to be late and their customers continue to be unhappy. The solution has got to be more complicated, they say. It can't be that simple. Give me something more complicated. So they freeze.
Yeah. But the other follow-up question I have on execution is that what habits have you seen in businesses that execute well?
They're disciplined. They understand the rules. They follow the rules, and they execute. And they don't worry about local problems. They don't worry about one machine that's too slow, or they don't worry about things that go wrong. They fix it. They take care of it. You said, I said, and you echoed. Make it happen. Don't let it happen.
Correct. Well said. In rule number 9, you stress the importance of quality control and new product development.
Yes, sir.
How do leaders balance fixing today's problems with investing in tomorrow?
There shouldn't be a conflict, Ash. They should be complementing. Isn't it ironic that people find it's okay to do something over and over and over again, like called rework? So if I have bad quality, somehow I have the time to make it once, twice, 3 times until it's good enough to ship. Yet I don't have the time to fix it once. If I take the time to fix it once, I don't have to rework it and rework it. Then I have time to worry about NPD or new product development. So I'm going to repeat because people do it over and over and over again. They make something wrong. They got to ship it. So they got to fix it. They make it again. They make it again. Yet they don't put that part back to engineering and say, redesign it so I can make it right the first time. That time I waste by reworking and reworking and reworking, I can devote my engineering to new product development.
Amazing. Moving on now, Joe, rule number 12 highlights redundancy. And
Yes, sir.
redundancy could be in different aspects of an organization. What are some practical ways companies can build redundancy without excessive cost?
Again, there shouldn't be any conflict. Having redundancy reduces costs. It doesn't increase the cost.
Okay.
So let's look at things that give us redundancy. One is people, training. If I have one specialist in a factory of 100, if he gets sick, I have a problem. My 100 people go down, right?
Yeah.
So I need to take his knowledge and give it to many, many, many people. The same with the machine. If I've got a particular machine that is one of a kind and it's critical, it's to my economic advantage to invest in 2 or 3 more. Because if that one machine goes down, I can't, my throughput, my entire factory goes down, I can't make a product.
Yeah.
If I can't make a product, I can't build it. So redundancy is not costly. Redundancy is just the opposite. It's an economic solution to a problem.
Correct. Your next rule, number 15, stresses inventory accuracy. And inventory is the bane of a lot of organizations.
Yes, sir.
What systems or cultural changes ensure this becomes a part of everyday practice?
First of all, let me define the inventory. I am not an advocate of building inventory that I build. I'm an advocate of buffering my vendors. So if I need a component from my vendors, I can't trust that they're going to be making throughput as well as I do. So I buffer them, or I have their inventory in my warehouse so that when I need their inventory, it's available to me. That's where I say inventory accuracy. It's their inventory that I need to have accurate.
Yeah.
So what changes though? I need a discipline. This is the discipline. Barcoding, a clean warehouse, a neat place to put it. If inventory is all over the place, it's impossible to count it.
Mm-hmm.
If it's not properly identified, it's impossible. So it is a culture and a discipline that has to be in place, and the factory supervisor has to understand if that inventory is not accurate, he goes to get a part from the vendor, it's not there, it shuts
Yep.
his whole factory down, right? So the pain of it being inaccurate should drive him to accuracy.
Great response. Rule number 17 makes a bold claim. It's always better to raise prices than lower them. Why,
Absolutely.
why do you believe lowering prices is so dangerous?
So I'm going to give you some math. I wish I had a board or something that I
Yeah.
don't, so I'm going to have to give it to you verbally.
Mm.
If our price is 100, our variable cost is 40, and our marginal contribution is 60, or 60%. Fixed costs are 40. Our profit is 20. If I raise my prices by 10%, my price is now 110. My cost has not changed, so my marginal contribution increases, and my fixed costs don't change. My unit profit, it goes up to 30 from 20. So now, if I lose some volume, it's almost impossible for me to lose enough volume to make it not worth it to me to raise my prices in the first place. I can lose 30% of my volume and not have the same absolute profit as I had before the price increase. Price decrease works the other way.
Yeah.
By decreasing my prices, I reduce my marginal contribution, and I decrease my unit profit from 50 to literally 20 or 30. So now I need twice the volume to make up the price decrease.
Right.
So the amount of volume change that required to cover a price decrease versus the volume you can lose to cover a price increase, there's no comparison. So you're better off. The statistics say raise prices, don't decrease prices.
Well said. Joe, I have time for two more questions for you.
All right.
Many of your rules cut across industries. Which non-manufacturing sectors have surprised you the most in successfully applying them?
Well, I have a plumbing client. He's a service. It's obviously a service, but he has 40 techs that are dispatched to go to homeowners and commercial and take care of their plumbing needs. That's his capacity. So if he doesn't properly plan his capacity or properly use his capacity, or has his capacity ill used, then it's not available when he needs it. So the same rules of capacity being your number one resource you want to protect at all times. Capacity is not infinite, it's finite. So the more you deploy capacity into some ill use, like forecasting or building inventory, you're just wasting that capacity.
Right.
So any service that needs people, machines, can follow my rules.
Fascinating. And my last question for you, and this may be a little bit of an unfair question for you, because you have 17 rules in your book. But my question is, if a business could only start with 3 of your rules, which would you prioritize first and why?
Throughput, because that's the bottom line of the factory. The factory's duty is to produce a product so I can build my customer.
Yeah.
The second rule is don't forecast. Don't put your capacity to do anything that isn't putting goods into the shipping department. If you do something that puts the goods into the warehouse, you're just wasted capacity. That capacity is sitting in your warehouse. And number 3, I would say, is execution. If you know the rules and you believe in them and you just sit there and look at them, they don't do you any good. So let's go back to the bromide that we both echoed, which is don't let it happen, make it happen.
Fascinating. And on that note of don't let it happen, make it happen, and amazing conversation I've had with you. Thank you, Joe, for talking to me about your own journey. I think the 17 powerful rules, when I was reading through your book that you had kindly sent to me, are relevant for every single business, whether it's manufacturing, service, or anything else that people may be doing, because they have been drawn churned out of the incredible amount of experience and the successful entrepreneurial journey that you have had. Thank you for sharing your thoughts with us, and good luck to you.
Thank you so much, Ash. I wish I had more time. It was a pleasure to be with you today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you for listening to the Brand Called You videocast and podcast, a platform that brings you knowledge, experience, and wisdom of hundreds of successful individuals from around the world. Do visit our website www.tbcy.in to watch and listen to the stories of many more individuals. You can also follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just search for the Brand Called You.